So, guys, I got a really awesome guest today. I got Coach Julian Mendez from William Woods University. It's a new program starting in 2024. It's kind of our thing right now. We're getting a lot of inaugural coaches right now. But Coach Mendez, thank you for coming to St. Louis, doing this. And, you know, we kind of jacked up a little bit because our offline conversations are always better than probably the podcast, in my opinion.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me. Easy drive to get over. That's one thing that I've really enjoyed about being in Fulton is easy drive to get to St. Louis, easy drive to get to Columbia, Jeff City, and to Kansas City. So it's been awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's generally the way that I work with these things too, is you get into the kind of the heart, meat and potatoes, everything first. And it's like, okay, now we get on the podcast. Now what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, now we go live.
There you go. Exactly. Now that's the kind of the thing that works. But extremely exciting to be able to talk about the Woods, excited to be able to talk about William Woods football and where we're trying to go and what things are looking like right now.
So new program, no shoulder pads, one helmet, or do we have more?
I think there's a couple helmets. So
Okay.
I took this from our assistant director of athletics. He's in charge of media. So Casey Weeder, you've been talking to him.
Nice
So
guy.
he let me borrow it. Yeah, he's like, you might want to take this over there. I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, I don't have one of these in my office, but a couple of people do, which is pretty awesome. So I get to look at it a couple times. So.
But you do have an office. They
But
did.
yes.
Yeah, they did let
Yes.
it come through.
Yeah, so we're hanging out now. You know, we get to kind of settle in a little bit and see what's going on and kind of set a little bit of roots now.
So when we talk about settling roots, like, it's all new. You know, this isn't like, you know, that jump from offensive line coach to offensive coordinator that you've had in the career. Like, this is like, there is no playbook. There is no, you know, shoulder pads. There's no helmets. It's like you're in the AD and all their staff is figuring it out. That, to me, is probably the most exciting part right now before we get into, like, X's and O's. How's that process been like?
You know, I think once you get to a point in your career, you start to think about, okay, if I was in charge, this is the way that I would think, or this is the way that this would be my plan. When this opportunity started to become a little bit of a reality of going through the interview process, or before the interview process, it was like, okay, how would I set this up? What would I do? What's important to me? And kind of put it into a tangible piece to be able to deliver, as in, and this is the way I did it, was this is me, you know, here you go. This is me in a binder. And it goes down to how things would run as a culture. The benefit or the downfall some people might see is there is no football culture on campus, which I think is fun because we get to set that culture. And I think that's a blast. I think you get to be able to set the identity of the football program on this campus, who has a strong culture of athletics, a strong culture of academics. It's a strong family community, I believe in. And I think now then you get to give them a Saturday football feeling, which is unmatched.
Now, it's also your baby as well. So, like, regardless of you going at 11-0 in 2024 or 0-11, like, you are the guy. Like, whenever, no matter how many records, like, every day is a new record. And, like, you are permanently in that history. I find that always that part fascinating.
Yeah, and I think kind of, you know, I consider myself as just a kid from the beach in San Diego, California, you know. I mean, and to be able to make myself, who spent a lot of time in the Midwest and fell in love with the Midwest, and then now to be the first head coach in the program, the history is awesome. I mean, it's something that, you know, is always going to be that first.
You have that gold plaque when they put it on there, you know, whether it's one season
whether it's
or
one or not. But yeah, that 2024 season, you know, it's a big deal. And I think kind of the way that I fall into things is truly about a family atmosphere. And we talk about it, and a lot has to do with, okay, you're kind of in charge of it, but then now Creighton is I'm a big family guy, so I want it to be about us. Just fortunately or unfortunately, right now on campus, up until a couple weeks ago, it was just me on campus for football. So it's a little bit too much of what I want to do, and then it's like I want to, you know, bounce some ideas, which is awesome to be able to have our athletic director who's been some places to be able to really do some strong things athletics wise, and he believes in the same way that we're trying to get going. Dr. Moreland, our president, is awesome. I mean, having that conversation with them during the interview process, it was an easy yes when it came to them giving me that opportunity. And at the end of the day, it's them taking a chance on me of being a first-time head coach, and then us hoping that people take a chance on us to come be a part of this program.
Talk about being a first-time head coach. That interview process, I can imagine, is daunting for anyone at any level. But essentially, when you're going in there, you're not only bringing your resume, you're bringing a business plan. How is that developing as far as like, okay, I think I'm ready. Like you said, 13 years as a head coach or as a coach. Eventually, you don't want to get plateaued at some point, but it's like I need to take that next step to see if, like, bring up. I was listening on the radio today. Nathaniel Hackett didn't do so well, but he needed to. Like, there are guys you need to see if they can be head coaches, and there's nothing wrong with being a good offensive coordinator, but it's like we need to see. Lack of a better term, you got to get off the pot a little bit.
Yeah, and I think like I said, once you get to a certain point in your career, you start thinking, maybe this is something that I want to do. Speaking, I've worked for some great head coaches who have done things, and some different head coaches, and been able to show me how to do things, and then even some being able to say, hey, maybe I wouldn't do this again. Which those are the conversations I love the most. Is, hey, I thought this was what I wanted to do, but looking back at it, I probably wouldn't do this again. And get into that, I would ask them questions, is this kind of, how did you start in this thought process? Is this the way that you went about it? And just having some of those conversations really, really helped me formulate that plan. Like, I really want to be at that spot, having different responsibilities, whether it was becoming an offensive coordinator, or, to be honest, one of the better responsibilities I thought was being in charge of travel. Because I had to make sure hotels were done right, food was done right, everything. And so you just have that little bits and pieces of responsibility, and it's like, I want a little bit more. I want to do a little bit more. I want to see what that's like. And obviously, travel is one little bit and piece that a head coach, and really sitting in that chair, and those are the things that you're going to figure out a little bit with getting thrown in the fire. But it was just that little bit that I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more. Now, I wanted that whole piece. So
when you are doing these interview processes and whatnot, are you talking to your old mentors, or especially at the head coach, like, because there's always going to be it's called imposter syndrome. Like, I feel every human being feels it. If they tell you they don't, they're lying to you. Is that kind of just like, hey, like, I think that I said this, maybe I should have said that? Is there a lot of, like, seeking out your mentors and whatnot?
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. Even before the interview process, during the interview process, reaching out to different people that I worked with to kind of seek their thoughts on it. But honestly, before saying yes, I called the head coach who I played for and then worked for as a grad assistant, and then as his offensive coordinator, Kent Kessinger, who's at Ottawa University. I mean, he was there for 18 years. And I asked him, I laid it out. I'm like, what do you think? And I'm thinking in my mind still there's a little doubt that he's going to be like, you're not ready, or have you thought about this? And he's just like, nope, it sounds like a great idea. You're ready. I think it'd be perfect. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. Like, you get a little puff in your chest. Like,
it's like,
hey, this is big time. Somebody, and even in the fact that now Dr. Moreland, Steve Wilson, the director of athletics, everybody at William Woods is, they offer you a job. So they believe in what you can do. They believe in your business plan. But to hear a mentor kind of say that, it's like, I am ready. Like, this is something that is the next step, the next plan. And it's, you develop that business plan. It's like, you start looking at it a little bit different when somebody's like, yep, you're ready. You're like, hey, this is pretty good, not going to lie. Like,
well, it's also someone that, like, has seen you on your bad days, has seen you when you weren't ready. Like, everyone, I've never had a candidate that come to me, like, for any job interview and had a bad interview. Well, I have, but it's few and far between, right? And, you have guys, and you look at the resume, and you're like, okay, I know a guy from that place. Let me call this dude. Yeah, this dude is terrible. Do not hire him. Everyone looks good in a good fitted suit and everything like that with their hair gelled. or nice Hawaiian shirts.
Hey, that's pretty sweet. I need to give me one of those.
Yeah,
I like that.
I would give if I would trade, and I'm messing up right now because I need to be asking the coaches for more stuff when they come.
I
in.
know. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I need to get some more stuff too. We're hoping we get some more stuff. It's supposed to be coming in here in the next week.
Okay, so
which is awesome.
We'll have you.
Yeah.
We'll have you back.
There you go, and I'll bring the whole gift bag over too. So we'll get that figured out. But yeah, I mean, it's just like recruiting. Within the aspects of recruiting a kid, their highlight video, everybody looks great in a highlight video, but it's full game film, getting that coach's recommendation, doing that. It's the same thing.
What do you think of highlight videos? Because I ask every coach because I hate highlight tapes.
I do because I hate them in two different reasons.
I like this because I hate them in two different ways too.
So I hate them because it's the best plays. It should be every highlight film should be amazing because it's your best plays. But then I hate them for the fact is that sometimes they're not done correctly. And so you have to watch a film that might be one play is 45 seconds long. It's not clipped down. It's not cut down. Or it's organized differently. Quarterbacks, I'll pick on quarterbacks a bunch just because.
It's fun.
Yeah. I don't want to see a bunch of just deep balls. That's awesome if you're throwing that. Show me some different looks. Show me you being able to throw a part of the route tree. Show me that you're able to, see some identification in reading some
coverage.
Going
to a third option.
Yeah, going through. Yes, show me that because then I know, hey, you go through your reading progression. Hey, we got something to work with. Obviously with some different offenses, show me something a little bit different. I'm a little partial to a guy who can run a little bit. Just because it is what it is in today's game. You make a defense play 11 on 11, it's awesome. But it doesn't need to be fully that way. We'll be able to find a fit. But it's do something a little bit different. Show me some different areas. And an O-line film, I'm an O-line guy at heart, an O-line film of just a bunch of down blocks and paint, I'm like, I don't, actually, that's just not getting anything to me.
Yeah, manipulating the defensive linemen a little bit through their techniques.
Show me some different run game progression. Show me you pulling even into space just to be able to see your flexibility, be able to see your movement. Even sometimes a lot of us big guys, we get out into space and it's the worst thing for us.
Well, and then you start
so
doing
I want to
this.
see that. I want to see them do those things just to be like, okay, he moves really well. He may not finish when he's in open space, but hey, that's what I'm here for. That's what I have to be able to do. Somebody's highlight film can't just be perfect. There's probably going to be some of those guys, but they're probably going a couple levels up, But if I'm able to find someone who has some good film and has that room to grow, that their best football is ahead of them, those are the kids that I want.
Yeah.
Because then I know that, hey, I'm able to talk to them. Hey, Jimmy, you do this and this well, but I see this much growth from you that I think I can impact.
Yeah.
Which I think that's the whole point about being a coach anyway. So
I hate highlight films on two fronts. I hate DBs showing interceptions on underthrown balls where they got beat up. And I'm just like, hey, man, this is not good. This is actually a bad thing.
Yes.
I hate when quarterbacks put in their highlight tape, and there's a couple guys who played in like the XFL and USFL. Mm-hmm. They'll put a touchdown in there, and it's not that they put the touchdown on a 64-yard drag route that they threw. I don't care. Like, you still have to make that, because there's other things. But I hate it, and I saw this on one guy's film, and he's not in any of these leagues anymore. Throws an out route, and should have threw it at the break. He throws it behind. The receiver has to adjust, and because the receiver adjusted, everyone over pursued, and then the middle of the field was, and it's a 64-yard touchdown. And I'm like, hey, is this the receiver's highlight film or is this the quarterback's highlight film? Because I'm seeing a bad ball that I agree that DeJuan Haynes is a USFL guy, can't play in the NFL, and he's the one making he over pursues Jack Sanborn on the Bears is going to make that tackle. It's still a 15-yard gain, and we'll move the chains.
We'll move it, but yes.
Yeah,
that's not. Yeah, I agree with that.
And I like seeing on quarterbacks highlight films incomplete passes.
Yeah,
and not because they made the right read, the receiver jacked it up, and DeAndre Johnson, last chance you guys, some of his best throws in the USFL are all on his incomplete passes. And it's not his fault. He did everything, good fundamentals, stepped into the throw, and the receiver dropped it. Yeah. Or they ran the wrong route. And it was like, hey man, this wasn't your fault. This is a good thing because the talent evaluators at the next
level, they're going to be able to see that. They should be able to see it, yeah.
Hopefully.
And so especially at that level, they're going to be able to see those things.
Well, it's why the Texas Tech quarterbacks never went to the NFL until, you know, Mahomes, because, you know, anyone could, well, not anyone, not me probably. I can't see over the running back probably throwing a bubble route, but it's like I mean, Twitter has evolved recruiting. It's almost toxic.
It is, and it's to a point too. You know, you spend most of your life, you know, and we talk about this generation or these kids these days. Everybody throws that out there, but that they just have their phone in their hands and it's just instant gratification and all that. But if you're a college coach and you don't have your phone in your hand, you're probably unemployed.
Yeah.
Because we have to be on social media. We have to be on Twitter. As a small college coach, you better be on those things, because that's the way that you're going to be able to communicate with these kids. Most of the time, if I make a phone call or if I send a text, it's probably not going to be answered. But if I send a DM, it's probably going to be answered at some point. You know, it's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast in 2023 now. I mean, it's just the way that it's done. But to the benefit, too, is now, in theory, there's not as many of those diamonds in the rough, you know, because their film is put out there. You know, I'm one of those guys that sent out VHS tapes in high school. I'm that old. So I sent out VHS tapes to get recruited, you know. You don't have to do that anymore, you know. I mean, you get something in your email, or it just comes across your Twitter, or guys have a really good opportunity to kind of showcase their ability, and it's kind of it's a good thing, but then it's like it's a little tough for guys like me. It's like I truly don't get that diamond in the rough. I'm getting it because I'm taking a shot on someone who somebody might not be able to take a shot on. So,
well, I mean, I know I saw, like, you posted it a couple days ago, it all blurs, but, like, you literally have to say, I am going to respond to everyone's DMs. Yeah. Like, give me a minute.
Yes.
And I think I DM'd you, like, 2 weeks after you got the job. Like, hey, let me know.
It's just like, and it becomes kind of crazy, especially when something like that happens, you know, like on a normal case, you know, you get some DMs and Twitters and kind of like loads up. But then obviously once this opportunity comes into hand, it becomes a little crazy, because then everybody who knew you was messaging you, all the kids then are now sending tape. You're getting tape from 2027s, which I don't even know what grade that makes you, to be honest.
I don't either.
It makes me a little tough to think about that math. But, you know, you're getting that. You're getting coaches who then are looking for opportunities too. So it's awesome, you know, especially in this position, because you're trying to field a program, field a staff, do those things. So, but sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. Sometimes it's like, okay, you know, you're sitting in a room and it's 10 p.m. It's like, okay, I got to put the phone away.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just, you know, you have that ability to do that. And right now, my wife's not up here with me, so she's not telling me to put my phone away. So then it's a little bit tougher. I got to like set a reminder on myself.
Close
to
the laptop.
Okay, close the laptop. Give myself, you know, some time to just kind of debrief a little bit and kind of being able to do that. But at the same time, it's you have to do those things.
And it's also exciting too. Like, I know we talk about younger kids getting like the gratification and whatnot, but it's like there's a lot of uncertainties going into next year, and the fact that like you have that many people who either A, want to, like, lack of a better term, like kiss up a little bit, or B, just like the congratulations, like it's still a good feeling as well.
It is. I mean, and you never want to think or do the things for the publicity or the likes. The likes. Yeah, I don't ever want to be that person, but it's like, oh, you know, this is awesome. You know, this many people at some point think enough of me, you know. And I think the best part about the whole thing too, I love the coaches responding, doing those things. My favorite absolute part was when some of my former players commented or sent me a text or sent me a DM to say, you know, hey, congrats, coach. You know, the no one more deserving thought process. And I'm like, okay, you know, that means way more to me than anything else.
Yeah.
So those were the cool ones for sure to get.
People who don't want anything from you, giving you the appreciation of like, you deserve this. Like, don't let anyone tell you different, and
which was for sure awesome. I think those are the best things, and that's kind of what I want to be known for anyways, is who cares if I know how to draw inside zone or talk about Rip Liz match on defense, but if the relationships are there with the kids, you know, that they're texting you, hey, I'm getting married, or I graduated, or the worst text is when some of my kids will text me and, hey, coach, I decided to be a coach. And I'm like, oh, are you sure? Like, you've seen me. Like, this is going to be where it is, just worried about their livelihoods and doing those things. So it's but there's a bunch of guys that I've coached who are now coaches, and having the opportunity to be around them and see them in a different light has been extremely gratifying as well.
It is a little bit though, like kind of seeing yourself long in the teeth, like especially if one of them is like a coordinator and it's like, aren't you like 23? And you're like, coach, dude, because that was like coming from the military service, and I talked to one of my sergeants a couple months ago, and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, in the air quote real job, but I guess it never ends. And he was like, aren't you like 24? I'm like, bro, I'm almost 30. like I am 30 or whatever it is. Like, he's like, dude, I remember when you were like 17, you joined, and it's like, I mean, time stops for no one.
Yes. I just had this conversation probably 2 days ago where I was talking about how I probably either still see myself, or I remember like it was yesterday, that within the staffs I was always kind of like one of the younger guys.
Yeah.
And just being that way, especially when I went and I was in the MIAA, it was like I thought I was a young guy. I'm a young coach. I'm gonna figure this out. And then now I look at it, and even where I was at before, it's like I'm one of the oldest guys on staff. Like it's the head coach, then it's me.
That is the most terrifying thing. Like when I was contracting abroad, like when I started becoming the most experienced guys in the room, and it's a little bit different, I guess, with like I was still younger than a lot of guys, but I still had
more experience. Yeah.
And like that's, to me, I was like, I need to either start running my own thing or I need to get out. Yeah. And like I feel like there's so many parallels from like the service and contracting. I've talked with coaches to like the coaching staff and whatnot. It's like right now, what I'm doing now, it's a lot nicer to not know anything.
Yeah.
Like I can learn. Like I don't have very limited people come to me for an answer, and I like that because now it's like I can learn. I can be the sponge, and I love that.
And I think that's too is part of the thing. Realizing even though I'm not one of the younger guys, even at this situation now, I mean, I'm the head coach and I don't know everything. I need to be on a constant learn too, in a constant learning environment to try to make myself better. Because if at any point you think you're just going to stay stagnant, you need to get out of the business too, because obviously you're not ready for it or meant to be in it. So obviously it's a learning curve with the head coaching aspect of it, but then still within the game is I still want to continue to be evolving with what we're doing from all three phases of the game, is to continue to work and to continue to do that. And I think that's something that if you set that as a head coach, I mean, my responsibility is to set that, to make sure that all of our coordinators, all of our grad assistants, all of our volunteer assistants, however it's set up, are on a continual learn. Because that's the only way we're going to continually grow as a program, and then continue to put ourselves in situations to, at the end of the day, it's trying to win some football games. So I mean, it's how do we do that? So.
Do you feel that it's been like another spike in like the dopamine? Because I've never, coaching and whatnot. You've been to I think 4 different schools at this point, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know if it was different when you went back to Ottawa, but it's like, you kind of get to the point where it starts becoming a little bit, I don't know if mundane is the right word, but it's like, come on, like a little bit more short, like let's go. And then is this just another like?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is for sure. I mean, going back to Ottawa, it was different because I was at Ottawa as a grad assistant, and then I left for 6 years, and then I came back as the offensive coordinator. So it was a different kind of mentality of coming back, as in being there that first time coaching. It was like, okay, I'm a grad assistant. Hey, make sure this stuff's set up. Coach the offensive line, but make sure this set up, and then now coming back as the offense coordinator. I was like, not only are we working with the offense, but then I have to make sure those grad assistants are getting better.
Yeah.
So then now it's like a new thing to, okay, I'm responsible for them. So if they're not doing their job, the head coach is not just going to yell or say something to them. He's going to yell at me, because it's my responsibility to make sure that they're in the right spot. So it was, and now it's, to me, it gives me that extra little bit, is like, okay, I am now responsible for every person on my staff to know how we do things not only within the football program, but then the athletics program at William Woods, in the academic world, the whole community. Like, I'm responsible. If they don't know, it's because I let them down. So,
was that the same kind of feeling when you were at Odessa, especially in a town like everyone knows Odessa Friday Night Lights?
Oh, yeah.
And I know you guys were the other.
We were 100% the other school.
The other school,
yeah.
but you still share the same stadium, and like I'm assuming the vibe is still parallel a little bit.
You know, going in, I probably, you know, I had heard so much about Texas high school football with playing with so many guys from Texas at Ottawa, that you had heard so much about Texas high school football. I'm a California high school guy by what I played, so I always was like, you know, Texas high school football, it's not.
California is underrated.
Well, it is, but, you know, recruiting Texas high school football was my absolute most fun because it's just done different. You know, Texas high school football coaches run it like college programs.
Yeah.
You know,
they get paid
ready.
They get paid like it too.
Yeah, just a little bit more than California high school coaches, I believe. But, you know, it's just run. It's run completely different. And so showing up, I'm like, okay, you know, originally going down there was I was going to be an offensive assistant, kind of just hang out, in my opinion, decompress, kind of maybe give myself a little reboot. And it ended up being a reboot in a different way, because I don't know what I thought. I thought maybe I'm just going to be hanging out. And then by day 2, then now I was the tight ends coach. So I was like, oh, this is fun. I'm excited. Then, you know, had the opportunity to start doing some of the recruiting aspect from the other side of it, which I was missing so much from college within 2 months of being there. But then you see those vibes of showing up to the first like freshman orientation, and there's 1,200 freshmen on the campus. And it's like, wow, this is a ton of kids, first of all. But you show up to the first pep rally, and this place the gym is jam-packed, the band's going crazy, they got a mariachi band going. I'm like, man, this is wild. Like, this is pretty intense. And then you show up to the first game, and you're getting ready for it, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is a little different. We play, obviously, Permian from the other side of town, and you come to that game and it's raining, and two and a half hours before game time, I'm there setting up the headsets with some of the other assistants, and we're setting up the headsets, and from Ratliff you could see that there's a line of about 200 cars at the entrance waiting to get in 2.5 hours before game time. And then during game time there's 20,000 people watching this game, like, and it is a complete separation from the two schools. Like, my wife is the head softball coach at University of Texas at Permian Basin, and so we were on that side of town, which is
Mojo country.
Yes, and so I walk into the store with a red shirt on, a red Broncos shirt on, and a car runs by or drives by and is like, "Go Mojo!" like, and just yelling it. I'm like,
Excuse me?
Wow. Like, this was within the first couple of weeks of me being there, and I was like, I started to laugh because I was like, yep, this is different. This is kind of what everybody says it is, and it's awesome. I think the benefit of just football down there, and football in West Texas, first of all, is great football, and it is under-recruited out that way. Like, nobody goes out there besides Texas Tech, to be honest. And now it's going to be William Woods, and I hope nobody else sees this and nobody else decides to go out there. But I mean, we are going to stake our claim out that way, because I think it's so much under-recruited athletes who deserve to play college football and to be able to utilize football to get a degree. And I'm going to make sure that we do that. So it's a blast.
I mean, yeah, Coach, the Texas high school football circuit.
Yes.
And I'm sure your cell phone is way cooler than most of these guys up here.
And so that's what's kind of the fun part about it is
Coach Stugart might have you beat, but I think he might have a bunch of numbers from his country music.
For sure,
days.
he does. He'll have some for sure hits from those. Yeah. But yeah, like it's been awesome to be able to utilize that aspect too, and to be able to have that year down there. And normally, you know, I'm not a big person to be somewhere for a year type situation, but it's just this opportunity was something I could not turn down and could not have, or turn, if this was going to be my opportunity to be a head coach and to be able to start a program from the ground up. It was, you know, and they were really cool down there. I mean, they've only been extremely supportive, going from all the athletic directors to the head coach. Dusty Ortiz was amazing at Odessa. I mean, shoot, he'll text me to see how I'm doing, and then they're one of the first people to like and retweet things that I tweet. You know, like it's pretty awesome. They're gonna. I'm hoping they see a lot of success this year. They're kind of set up for some great things, which is good. I think the whole area too. I mean, it's good football. It's a tough district that they play in.
Well, it's them, Midland Lee.
So them, Midland Lee, Midland,
Yeah.
Permian, and Friendship out of Lubbock area, which they're good. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. And then San Angelo Central.
Yeah, and then you get into the playoffs, and then you deal with all the Westlake and Austin and whatnot.
And so the first thing you do is you go to once you get to the playoffs is you got to play a team from the DFW area.
Yeah.
And so you get them coming, or you play El Paso first, then the DFW area,
yeah.
And it's the teams out of El Paso, you're not going to see any slouches. I mean, they're going to have a bunch of athletes to be able to do things. And then if you get to the DFW schools, it's like, okay, Keller comes down, South Lake Carroll, those schools, it's big boy football, which is the fun part about 6A in Texas. It's like these programs are good. Anytime you see them past that regular season, it's good. Any in-district games, there's no just slouches that you're walking.
It just you don't have that game where you're like, okay, we could. I know your hamstrings hurt. Yeah. We could, throw you out there a couple series. We'll go up by 14, and you just, get a lot.
That's what you hope to do.
Yeah, and then it's just like nonstop. Yeah. And I'm curious about this. When you have Texas high school football, right? Is there a lot of D1 or bust mentality with a lot of these kids, and whether it just be a media thing, like coming from New York, like Texas high school football. It wasn't until I got older when I realized, Florida's got a bunch of people.
Yep.
Georgia, you throw a football, you hit a college athlete. California by volume.
Yeah.
And then even now being in Missouri, it's like you go on the Wikipedia page and, it's just this guy played in the NFL, especially in the St. Louis and KC areas.
I think there's so much pressure on these kids these days to be D1 or bust that it has that mentality.
You're talking overall in the country?
Yeah, overall in the country, but then in Texas too, because they see there's so many great athletes in Texas and so many great football players that they see that and they have that, okay, if a Division I school isn't offering me, maybe I'm not that great. And they don't see the value in obviously the FCS level, but the value of Division II football, which, Division II football as coaching in it for 4 years is ridiculous. We had some players even on our team that would come through that's like, man, this kid's not a Division II football player. Yeah. He should be playing somewhere else. And then the NAIA level, I have the utmost respect for the NAIA level. Obviously, I played NAIA football, so I love it. I think that there's so much talent that's just overlooked in this level, maybe because they don't meet the height requirements or they don't meet the kind of looking as the straight eyeball test. I played on a pretty good, successful team at Ottawa, and
where Derek Ward went, won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true. That is one of he's on the wall.
He is on the wall.
On seeing some things, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I was starting left tackle my senior year, and and I'm considered undersized and doing those things, so it's just non-traditional. And then Division III football. I know there's a lot of bad rap that runs through Division III football, but you can't tell me that. Obviously, there's top heavy with the Mountain Unions with what they do.
And John Fisher.
But then in Texas, Mary Hardin Baylor.
Yep.
What they do there is ridiculous. They would compete and they would do things against Division II schools. And there's ability and there should be opportunities for every kid. Yeah. What that opportunity looks like, I don't know, but that was a big part of me wanting to do this and being able to start this program was now this is another opportunity for a student athlete to be able to utilize, like I say, and I say it a bunch and it probably gets old people hearing me, but utilize football to get a degree.
Yeah.
I was given a chance to do it. And I think that's what I want to do is to be able to now give somebody else that opportunity. However it looks, it may be someone, to the case of starting 50 games and hopefully win a conference championship and do some things, or if maybe you get an opportunity to play, sub, do something, or, we get managers doing things to be a part of a program. But I think everybody should have an opportunity to be a part of that culture, to be a part of that program, to be able to make yourself feel better and ingrain yourself not only in the campus community, but in the community that you're at.
Yeah.
That's a big deal to me. I'm a big community person. And taking this job was because I want to not only make William Wood's community kind of better and feel that way and kind of see what football does for you, but then the community of Fulton. The community of Fulton, I think, has been missing out on William Wood's football.
Yeah.
And, now we have that opportunity to do that and to be able to see what we could do for the community. A lot of people look at it as what everybody can do for them. It's what can I do for you? What can we do to make sure we have an impact and make Fulton better, make William Woods better? That's kind of the end game for everything.
Well, I think, too, with, you talk about the NAIA and whatnot, it's there's so many opportunities for players to, continue their professional career in Canada and, USFL, XFL, arena leagues. But in the end, no matter how many years you play in the NFL or the AFL or whatever it is, it's it is a temporary, career. Very little people could play the game, whether you're playing at a high level or just a guy as a long snapper. Very few people can do that for 15 years. We talk about not for long and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think, I love every time coaches talk about that. It's I need these guys to be successful human beings off the field. I need them to be decent men, decent fathers, and be good human beings, because even from a PR standpoint, something in the Fulton Observer, you never want to see William Woods, William Woods, ex-William Woods football player John Smith did insider trade. Even, we'll keep it white-collar crime, But
100%.
I don't I love the NAIA.
Yeah.
Getting to know about it more is probably one of the most fascinating things about it.
And you talked about obviously growing up in New York and not really knowing much of the levels. And in California at that point in time, so when I was coming out, there was Azusa Pacific, which I had no idea, which they're not even 2 hours away from me. No idea who they were.
Yeah.
But I had no idea. I was a junior college player in California. No idea what the NAIA was.
Yeah. We had, you would go, if you wanted to play college football, we had Rutgers, we had Cuse would come down for certain players, obviously. And then Stony Brook and Wagner were I played in the Catholic League. And then you had your Division IIs just scrambled in there. Occasionally we got University of Delaware up there, but still FCS. And then you were a Division III kid.
Yeah.
Pace and CW Post were Division II at the time. But, and granted, I had my sights set on the service, but we had kids that were, maybe not a fit for Pace or CW Post, and they were I don't want to go Division III because I want scholarship opportunity. And it's if we had the NAIAs on the East Coast, that the game is completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can only do the Division III athletic scholarship for so many kids when you got the 2.8 and you need a 3.2 to get the academic scholarship. It's just seeing this and like the opportunity these kids, a couple, closer than Mississippi have, has just changed the game for me.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I wish I would have known. I love my route. I love kind of how I wish I would have known more about to be able to then help out and educate and do whatever I can. But, I enjoyed my route the way that I did it because it's got me to where I'm at here, and to really value that and value the experience. So, I think it's a big deal.
Do you think that with all this stuff going on in college football right now at the FBS, because I think it trickles down to every level and we're seeing guys, and I've talked to other coaches about this, and depending on the type of school you're at, essentially these D2 schools are becoming the new junior college like feeder programs, and I get it from air quote, Mizzou would rather have a 20-year-old man versus a 17-year-old kid, maturity and just body development wise. But I kind of feel just around the country we're seeing a lot more transfer ups, and I don't, it's now. are these budgets going to have to adjust for, all these schools that have in-house recruiting like they have at Georgia? Like, that's a fear of it's getting so wonky.
And that's where I think it becomes a little crazy. And I think it becomes a little bit of recruiting pitches, not only from the Division II level, now they're able to ingrain that in, hey, maybe if you were a tweener, then now come here, be successful, and if they come get you, come get you, which is wild to me. I just think it's crazy mindset, but I've heard it being used at the NAIA level as well, and I don't know. I just think it's a little crazy. Like, if that happens, obviously great things for the kids to be able to work those things in, but I just never want to be in the thought process to like utilize that, or I don't know. The worst thing for me is if a kid comes to school and then is there for a year and they transfer because they didn't like it, or something happens.
Yeah.
That's what I tell the kid the same thing. It's bad for you because then you have to transfer. It's bad for me because you transferred.
Yeah.
But that means there was some sort of shortcoming on my point, as either I wasn't recruiting you the right way because I said something was this way and now it's that way, or you may not have saw something or something with the transparency. And for me, recruiting is fully transparent.
Yeah.
Come check us out. Come see what we got going on. If guys want to come check out William Woods today, come check us out. There is no football field right now on campus. We have a soccer field. Furley Field is lined nicely for soccer right now, which is awesome, but there's no football field, so you're going to see a football helmet that's hanging out in the AD's office. So we're working on getting shoulder pads and stuff ordered, but
you can pick
those
your number,
things,
though.
Yeah, you can go ahead, give me an options. I'll give you 3 options, and we'll kind of fit and put you in. But those are the things. Like, it's going to be as transparent as possible. Are those things, wherever I was at within recruiting was, I was going to talk real. I was going to be transparent. And maybe that's what's made me ready for this job.
Yeah.
Now is that's kind of the way that I handled things. But also it made me feel that when student athletes and families chose to go wherever I was when we were there, is because they felt that we were going to take care of them.
Yeah.
And that those situations were what we were talking about. Because like I said, the last thing I ever wanted was for someone to show up and then, well, you told me 5 months ago this is the way stuff was going, and then now it's X, Y, and Z. Like, that's the worst thing possible, because at the end of the day, your kids are going to be your best recruiters.
Yep.
And if they're unhappy because things aren't the way it's said, the first thing they're going to do is tell their friends and tell people.
Tell their high school coach.
No, don't come here because I came here and it was all a lie.
Yeah.
And so that's where kind of that recruiting aspect. And if people use that as in they can jump up, which is awesome. At the end of the day, I want everybody to be able to play at the highest level they can play. But at the same time I'm going to out-recruit myself every single day.
Yep.
I'm recruiting kids, and I'll tell them too. I offered somebody yesterday on the phone, and I'm like, this may be a moot point in about a week because somebody else is going to figure out what I already figured out. Yep. But at the same time I already figured this out. I know what you can do. Come do it here. Be excited. I think you should play at a higher level, but if they don't see your value, I see it.
Even with William Woods right now, you're talking to all these kids. I'm sure you're talking to their families. Have you had that difficult conversation of, well, I don't want to use any of the schools that I've talked to, but SEMO's looking at them. It's like looking or like, and they're trying to, whether it's just a sales pitch or whether it's like maybe ignorance to like, what does that actually mean?
And that's kind of where it's too. It's you try to figure it out. Well, okay, who are you talking to? And then they tell you they list. And I used to get lists that has Power 5, and then not saying anything wrong with this, but an NAIA or Power 5, and then like a Division III school. It's like, okay, well, these Power 5 schools have they shown interest? They've offered. They've asked you to. Oh, well, no. They said that something's going. I was like, okay, well, look. This is where those things kind of lie, whether this is a difficult conversation or you see this, just know that I'm looking out for your interest. If they offer you, and yes, Missouri State offers you, awesome, good job. If not, if that doesn't work out, William Woods is here for you.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, I had an extremely respectful kid from Missouri, probably about, I'll say about 30 minutes away from campus. Had been talking to him. He's specimen-looking kid. Talking to him, doing this stuff. Probably at the point of gonna offer him, and he texts me to tell me, "Sorry, coach, but I'm going to commit to a school in the northwestern part of Missouri that does really good, and they have similar colors as us. And he's going to commit to them, but I want to let you know before I make it public. I appreciate you. I appreciate the conversations we've had. I appreciate getting to know you." And I'm like, that stuff, there's certain coaches that'll take that and essentially be mad at the kid.
Really? That's
there's some things that happen that way. Or you take it and you're like, that's awesome. You found the place that you want to go to. Like, that should be applauded. Whether it's the institution that you're at or not, it should be applauded because that kid has made his decision. Now, and then I'm always going to be the same way as whether it's a Division II school, it's an FCS, FBS, it's another NAIA, it's in the Heart of America Conference. Hey, congrats. If I can ever do something for you, don't hesitate.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody sees that as something bad, I don't know. I don't care, but I want to know. I want to make sure that that kid knows that this relationship that we built means enough to me that if that kid needed something, he can call me. Obviously, not if he's at another hard school and we were going to get in trouble, but he can figure something out, and I'd try to make sure we can help him out.
And I think it's just big for, like, these kids to realize, like, this is your first, air quote, business negotiation, essentially. So it's like, anytime I deal with something, I always want to make sure that, like, I leave the situation with a friend and whatnot, because you could be at the woods for 3 years, he's doing okay, but he's a rotational guy, but he's not a rotational guy because of skill. He's a rotational guy because this guy's going to the NFL and just fell into a certain school, and it's like, hey, I'm going to Texas Tech now, and I need X dude. Hey man, I'm not trying to tamper here. This is what you got going on, or he would probably reach out to you, for NCAA reasons. But I mean, I just hope that when these kids talk to any of these coaches, whether it be, I guess number 1 would be Georgia, number 894 would be whatever school, and that they're just treating y'all with, like, the respect and just, hey man, like, he could be the head coach of your dream school in 5 years, or like when you have a kid, like. It just, I don't know. I feel like sometimes they're just looking here rather than, like,
and then that's 100%. I think what it is, and I think it's a tough thing to see for them to see that down the road aspect instead of just what's right in front of them right now. Because, like I said, I mean, talk about their phones, talk about that's instant right now is instant gratification. Down the road, that has to be a little forethought and being able to see into it and be able to know that that's potential of happening.
So if I'm wrapping it up here, if I'm, a hip young 17-year-old from the Lake of the Ozarks, playing for the Camdenton Lakers, trying to come out William Woods, what do I need to know about the program so I could sell it to my parents?
So we're going to be foundationally built on the aspect of family. I mean, you're going to hear me talk about it a bunch. It's just the way that I am. I mean, I live by it. I'm a big family person. Whenever I'm ingrained in somewhere, it's the family atmosphere. We're going to be extremely respectful, whether that means on the field doing things within the rules, doing things the right way, doing that in the classroom, in the community, respectful. I want to make sure that everybody, any interactions the campus has with William Woods football is the utmost respect, and they love our kids. Accountability. I have to be accountable for all the actions and everything that I do for the program. Every kid that steps in and wears our stuff has to be accountable to the program and to his teammates, most importantly. I think that's a kind of a big deal is working within that, knowing that accountability aspect doesn't just include me. It's everybody within it. And at the end of the day, as long as things are going to be kept with score, is competition. So those are the 4 pillars within that we're going to run with and understand is we're trying to change a aspect on campus to be a little bit of a culture aspect that hits with football. This William Woods University has been around forever, and they've never had a Saturday afternoon football game on campus. I mean, or ever, but on campus. It's wild to think about. one of the things that drew me straight to it was sitting in the meetings with the board members, sitting in the meetings with academics, and it wasn't a question of what does football do for us. Every single one of those people in there were asking me, what do we need to do to make sure that this experience is good for when football shows up on campus? Like, are you kidding me? Who asked that question? That's awesome. Academics was like, is there any certain majors that we need to start developing, bring in, make sure and accommodate so that football players, you're going to have a big group. Is there anything that they focus on? That's awesome. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, who thinks that way? Yeah. Not everybody thinks that way. Yeah. William Woods University thinks that way. And that's the atmosphere that it is. It's all about the Woods. Like, being there, it's awesome. I talked about in another interview of trying to get on campus and see some things. We have equestrian science on campus. So there's stables right behind our art building. Yeah. Which is awesome. Like, I think it's cool. I want to be able to go over there. Cool, yeah. Horses are cool, man. Like, being able to go over there and go see some things, do that. I mean, in our equestrian students, I mean, they compete. I mean, they're competing for money. Like, that's cool. That's something that I want to be able to go check out and go see, which is fun. There's also the Missouri School of the Deaf is in Fulton, Missouri. Yep. ASL is a huge program that we have on campus, and which is just something different. I mean, I've never been on a campus that has that and has its own lab that being able to work with those things. So, like, it's a fun community to be a part of already, and I've been here for a month. It's a fun atmosphere. I'm excited about. We have our first soccer game, I think, next week, and like a week and a half is our first home volleyball game. I'm excited to be at those, to be able to see what's going on. It gives me an opportunity to be at these things and show the support. Right now, it may be just me, my assistant, and a couple of our student athletes that we're going to have on campus this fall. But, to be able to see, all right, hey, fall 2024, there's going to be 115 football players at this soccer game. Like, that's that atmosphere we want to be about. So hopefully that, hey, you want to come from the Lakers and be a part of the Woods, because it's an amazing campus. It's probably the better college campuses that I've been on.
Yeah, a little bit tucked away.
Yeah, a little bit tucked away, literally in the woods.
In the woods.
There's a lake on campus, Junior Lake, which I've seen some people fish out of, which is kind of cool. But it's a beautiful view. I put a couple pictures on Twitter about it, because it's just, right in the morning or kind of at the late afternoon. You see that, it's like, man, this is cool. But then just the way campus is set up, we have kind of fraternities and sorority life on campus, which is cool. This last week we had the first Friday at the Woods to be able to have with the community, and I think next month we're going to have one as well. There was live music, food truck, doing that. I mean, what else can you want to be able to be a part of, and to be able to start the culture?
Yeah, tucked away. It's real nice to be away from the city life and whatnot.
It is, but then if you want to get to that city life, Columbia is 30 minutes away. Jeff City's 25 minutes away. You want to get over here, it's about an hour to an hour and 15 away. I mean, you have that ability to do those things.
Where can people find you on the social medias?
So at, what is it, X or Twitter, whatever. It's Twitter to me still. I'm sorry.
I still have the bird.
Okay. Do you? You didn't update? Good. I like that.
I'm edgy.
My phone might burst into flames if I didn't update. But on my Twitter is at Coach Julian M. Then our football Twitter is at WWU Owls FB. DM open, make sure and reach out. You need anything I can do, whatever we can do to make sure that you have information about the Woods on Linktree in my profile. You'll be able to see everything from a virtual tour to be able to see interviews with me, to kind of see who I am, where I'm from, what we're trying to do, what the program's about. Fill out our questionnaire. Our application is free, which is awesome. Shout out to our people in admissions. They do an amazing job. I mean, it's the best crew of admissions people I've been around, which one of the VP of enrollment is he played running back when I was an offensive lineman, so we play together, so we're teammates, and it's awesome to be able to do this stuff with him. But find out everything you want to know about the Woods. Anything you don't know, come ask me and we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, and then watch this interview.
And then watch this interview.
Coach Mendez a little bit.
some likes, some more pubs, everything we need to do to get everything going.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, Coach. Real appreciate it.
You.